What's up, Space Pirates? This is your Admiral, the ever-charming Dr. Disaster, and it is crazy how quickly things have turned around on Capcom in the past few months, going from being the developers of the top game in the world with Monster Hunter Wilds to watching interest in that game completely tank.
I am invincible! Invincible! Ow!
As we've covered here previously, Monster Hunter Wilds started off incredibly strong, selling 10 million units in its first month by the end of March. But shitty performance issues on the PC have caused the game's rating on Steam to plummet. It's dropped down now to about a 47% score, which is absolutely wretched.
What is happening to me?
It isn't hard to figure out why this is happening. They keep trying to fix these issues, but nothing that Capcom does is working. In fact, the patch they put out in June only made things worse, or so it seems. So, people are getting tired of this, and they are scoring the game where it belongs to be scored. It has gotten so bad in recent months that reportedly sales of 8 other Capcom games were higher than the sales of Monster Hunter Wilds in the last financial quarter. Between April and June, they've only sold another 477,000 copies of the game. For most games, that would be considered a decent amount, but for a title like Monster Hunter, which started off as red hot as it gets, this is considered falling off big time. For a company like Capcom, who relies on the star power of their big name releases to carry them throughout the year with large numbers, well, we know what they're feeling right about now.
I sense injuries. The data could be called pain.
And as a result of this massive failure to make games at a basic level, Capcom's stock value has plummeted. Investor confidence appears to be fading. In the past month, their value has dropped about 23%, with around 10% of that hitting yesterday after the company released its earnings report. The remaining investors have got to be getting a bit squeamish, wondering why the hell the company suddenly can't fix this game.
What is this? What is this? Where's all the money?
That's as good as money, sir. Those are IOUs.
Alright, me hearties, make sure that you hit the like button on this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and also, don't forget to follow me over on X, where my handle is Dr. Disaster1. I've also started uploading some content onto Rumble too, so make sure that you follow Dr. Disaster over there. But anyhow, let's talk about what's happening with Capcom and Monster Hunter Wilds. It hasn't helped that about a month ago, Capcom got all butthurt about how their performance issues were being received by gamers, to the point that they canceled a presentation at a major gaming developers conference where they were going to be talking about the game. The presentation was going to be titled, and I shit you not, but the title was Making Monster Hunter Wilds Run Smoothly, all about performance adjustments. That is what the lecture was going to be called, and they got all upset and said that ongoing harassment from gamers was the reason they were canceling. But let's be perfectly real here, this was a developers conference. Gamers weren't even going to be there. The reason they canceled this was because they're embarrassed by this whole thing. At about the same time, they issued this public notice here where they threatened defamation suits against people for calling out their company. They were clearly hoping to chill speech and nip this whole situation in the bud, getting people to stop giving them such poor ratings on Steam. And not coincidentally at all, this notice came out right after their first skid in the past month on the stock charts. blaming the customers for their own ineptitude has not served Capcom well though, because they have just continued to drop like a rock. If you look here, they talk about the fact that 8 games actually outsold Monster Hunter Wilds during the last quarter within the Capcom brand, which, as I said before, this is a company that has survived on their big name games having consistently solid performances. Monster Hunter Wilds dropping off so quickly is definitely a cause for concern for investors. This article from The Gamer says right here, it's safe to say, given the hype around the title and its stellar start, which saw it sell 8 million copies in just 3 days, nobody could have foreseen the struggles that Monster Hunter Wilds has faced. In just under 3 months, the game lost 98% of its players, falling to overwhelmingly negative reviews on Steam in the process. Wilds had been plagued with game-breaking issues on PC since launch, and an update in June only made things worse, ensuring the game's player reviews sank further and further. The game now sits with a mixed rating on the Valve-owned platform, but its recent reviews remain overwhelmingly negative. The game's plight seems to have continued last quarter too, with Capcom's latest financial reports revealing that 8 games sold more copies than Wilds over that period. And here they reveal that Wilds sold 477,000 copies, and they reveal the 8 Capcom games which sold better, including Resident Evil 2, 4, 7, and Village. The list also includes Street Fighter 6, Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition, Devil May Cry 5, and Devil May Cry HD Collection. And Monster Hunter Rise sold less than 100,000 fewer units than Wilds, despite being a much older game and despite having already sold over 7 million units more over its lifespan. But anyhow, this is why the company has seen its stock value take a hit. Investors are clearly worried that Capcom has not been able to solve the performance problems that Monster Hunter is facing. This article here from Video Games Chronicle tells us some of the details from the Capcom earnings report. They write, Capcom's share price in Japan has dropped sharply following news that Monster Hunter Wilds sales appear to have lost momentum. The company's share price was sitting at 4,283 yen at the end of Wednesday, but when the market opened today, the price dropped 9.5%. Capcom published its financial results for the quarterly period ending June 30th, and while it reported that net sales were up 53.7% year-on-year and that operating profit was up 90.8% year-on-year, it also noted that Monster Hunter sales appear to have hit a brick wall. So, think about that. Last fiscal year was a record-setting year for Capcom, and this year they are already up by staggering percentages, and yet still the investors are bailing out. That goes to show how incredibly important it is that these big Capcom titles maintain their momentum. I mean, look at this list again, and look how well these old games are selling. The investors, or at least a good portion of them, are under the impression that Monster Hunter Wilds sales numbers stalling out is a major hiccup. Perhaps they're concerned that the developers at the company have suddenly lost their ability to pump out workable games. Maybe they're worried that Resident Evil 9 will run into similar issues in February, which I personally hope that isn't the case. I'm really looking forward to that game, but considering the way Capcom has handled this scenario, I think they've earned all the criticism, poor scores, and plummeting value that they've received. But I'm gonna leave it there. Drop your mockery of these developers who clearly released a less than functional game into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.